All right, folks, thought I'd do a bit more on the old truck tonight. I'm kind of in limbo at the moment. I've got quite a few bits on order. I was having a look at the front end, and I've been messing around with this, mounting a servo in there. I've got some materials on order, as I just mentioned, and what I've been trying to do is I've mounted the servo, and basically that should be able to run it. I need to do some blocks to mount between the servo here and the fixing points there, and the fixing points there. So this is the lower part of the original steering system. So I retain those wishbones there. Standard servo. I changed the idea I had, and I went for a normal fixing point. Initially, I'd taken the mounting point quite a bit further back. I've actually looked at a receiver, and it's a 3-channel Fly Sky transmitter receiver, and it does have adjustment for steering limits. It's not actually endpoints. It's under the dual rate, so actually that will limit the travel. So that should be all right. So I just need to wait for that. I've ordered some 6mm Delrin, and it's not just for this part here, so that'll be okay for that. I'll come to the back end in a moment. I've had to cut out these 2 sections here. I've tidied up the switch here. I've just removed all the connections. Basically, you've got from this pin here to here is a link when the switch is slided that way, and the same with this pin and this pin. And so effectively, you've got a double pole, double throw switch in this section just here, and another one in this section just here. So that's the common, and if you slide the switch that way, it goes to that pin. If you slide it the other way, it goes to that pin, and the same with that one to that one, that one to that one. So if you just divide it, you've got one switch here, one switch here, one switch there, one switch there. It's more than enough that I need. But yeah, the reason why I had to do these cutouts here is so that I would be able to put 4.8 volt, so 4 subsea pack in here. It was literally because these mouldings on here, I wanted to keep the pack standard. I didn't want to go cutting packs up. So I decided to modify the casing by just clipping these bits out. It was just sitting a bit too proud to be able to put the base on. And I'm looking at mounting the speed controller here, so I'll drop the power connection through there. So this will be able to hook up to that, and that'll be in there. All it needed was I just got some of this sticky back foam. It's 6mm closed cell foam. I've got some of that for another job that I'm doing at the moment. So just a little bit either side there. I left the original springs in there, and it's nice and secure in there. I'm not quite sure. One of these tags off the battery cover here is broken off. It broke off because I was trying to fit this and didn't realise it wasn't going to clear. So I might have to glue that on, or I might have a look at seeing about reproducing that piece itself. But at the moment, that works. That will clip together and hold that pack in there, so that's fine. For the back end, I've had a few mess arounds. I've decided to order a Surpass 2040 motor. It's basically a 20mm in diameter motor, 40mm long, and I was looking about this whole KV situation, and I found one that's at 2280 kV, and if I'm running this, if we say that that's 5 volts, 2280 times by 5, you're up at 11,500. And I wanted to get this thing to gear down to be running at walking speed at full pace, and that pans out to I've ordered, this is the original axle off the wheels, so these are just 4mm on here. I've gone for worm and wheel drive, So that's the worm gear. Now, I could not find anyone who does a gear with the right shaft in to fit the Surpass motors, because it's either 2 or 2.3 mil. And until it arrives, I don't know which it is, because one set of drawings I've seen say it's 2 mil, one say it's 2.3. So I ordered a gear with a 5 mil centre, and it's a brass gear, and I can easily just get another piece of brass with a 5 mil OD on it, so it'll slide inside there, and then I can drill it through at either 2 or 2.5. And then I can just affix that to the shaft on the motor. And so that's a single screw thread on there, so that onto a 22th here gives so that's the drive gear for that. I think it's 11.2 mil in diameter, but basically it gears it down by 20, so reducing 11,500 down by 20, it gets it 600 and something RPM, which works out, when you look at the scale ratio, walking pace is 4 kilometers an hour. We're around the right sort of ballpark. We get to where we want to be at max speed being roughly walking pace. I got some little flanged bearings, so that's the bearing there, and it has a flange on it. Now they're all China. And they're supposed to be 4 mil. Everything else that I've ordered that's 4 mil. I've got some little collars as well, but I'm not going to need this for this project, I don't think. But yeah, these bearings are really tight. I'm going to have to work a little bit of magic, freeze the shaft, warm up the bearings to be able to get them on. They are extremely tight on this shaft. So the idea is, this is, I did a bit of CAD work. This is just a piece of 3 mil acrylic, laser cut it. I did fancy the idea of using 3 mil because it gave me more space to work with inside. And then the idea is that would drop down, which way around? It's supposed to drop in that way, and that would give the drive on the rear end of the vehicle. But then I realised when I was doing this that getting the 2040 motor, there's not enough distance between where this motor plate is and the rear axle there. So I've actually had to angle that. You can see that it's not 90 degrees. So the rear of the motor would come up and just clear the back end of this. The back end of the motor would clear the up travel of the leading axle. I've decided that 3 mil acrylic or 3 mil material is too thin. I can't screw through into that, and I'm not going to use adhesive. So I'd like to be able to take this thing apart and stuff. But so I've had a little bit of an experiment, and I did some sort of laser cut. Fortunately, I have access to a laser at work. Laser cut some little brackets and things. So the concept is that these bearings will push in from the inside, so the flanges are on the inside, and there'll be one on the other side there, and so then the wheels will push on this side, and that'll stop any travel across the tail end of the gearbox. So then I moved forward into trying sort of different ideas. So I came up with this one. This little tag here slots into, there's a slot in the back unit here. The original gearbox slid into there and then screwed down to there. So that was kind of to recreate that. That drops into this back section there. It's a little bit tight. And that would sit down flat into there, and that would drive out the back wheels there. The slots in the base plate here, they're to clear the bearings and to clear the gear here, so that this would go across. Which way was it? That gear would mount that way, so it'd be in line with the centre of the motor there. The motor would mount here and just sort of come round on that section there. But I do like the idea of actually driving the axle closer to the steer wheels, and that'll give a tighter turning circle. So I've done a few iterations of this. This is one that is designed to sort of slot in there like that. So that's kind of pretty close to where I want to be. This would go actually in that way there. This needs pushing on further. This needs to undo the grub screw, but I want to put a flat on here so the grub screw can tighten down onto that shaft. So that would go in like that. That bearing's actually in the right place, so that the drive wheel would then press on back onto there and be in the correct place. One thing I have realised is that this section of the spur gear here, it will catch on that area there, so that needs to be taken down a little bit. And these are the original mounts here for the gearbox. That one has a big split in it, so this actually has a split down this side here. So concerned with that, so I've done yet another iteration. Again, this is just MDF, so it's laser cut roughly to what I wanted, and I can just use a craft knife to trim it up. So the idea is that that one would go more like that, and then what I could actually do is I can mount straight through from this plate here. I could use a countersunk M3 screw, and then I could actually bolt that down to there, and also use screws down into there as well, just because with having the weight on these drive wheels, which will be here, it's putting the load on these screws here, whereas when the drive wheels were at the back, it was on this whole flange section which slots through the back there, so this large flange which would slot through. And because that's split, I want to sort of spread that load a little bit. So yeah, that's the kind of thing like that. That will drop in there. The motor will fit in here, and then that will go through there. That gear will fit like that, but I do need to do a little bit of clearance work on that. I'm kind of in limbo with it because I'm waiting for the motor to arrive. I don't want to do any more work with that just because I don't want to waste too much time imagining dimensions. I mean, I'm very trusting at the moment of the dimensions that I've seen online. So yeah, I've got 6mm Delrin, so I did up 6mm MDF, so I upped to this, and I've got little self-tapping screws that will be able to just screw it all together. And it means, because I've got these flange bearings, obviously they need to fit from the inside to stop it sliding left to right, which means I'll be able to just take it apart and remove the axle if I need to at any point in time. So yeah, I've got the Delrins on order. That's coming. So once that's arrived, I'm not going to laser cut it. Issue with laser cutting stuff is you always get a sort of a chamfer, so that's actually not at 90 degrees. When these things bolt together, if you were to butt those up, they wouldn't sit at 90 degrees. They'd either taper in or taper out, because when the laser beam, if you imagine sort of my hand here, the laser beam shooting there, it'll actually cut with the shape of the tip of the pencil there. So you end up with a V cut like that, and when you're trying to butt things up together, it doesn't work. And also when you're burning through plastic, it melts, it recedes. I actually laser cut these holes the right diameter for the bearing, and when I put that in there, that's got slop in it. It's got about 1/4 millimeter slop. So I'd much rather machine these. I don't have access to a CNC miller and router, only small things, but at work I've got access to those things. So that's where I'm going to go with that. I think wait for the material to arrive. Need to wait for the motor to arrive. Once I've got the material, I'll be able to get that done. I'll be able to mount up the servo at the front. Speed controller, the size of those things these days, it's really quite small stuff. So that should be able to mount here. Receivers are so small. A Fly Sky receiver, 3-channel, that'll mount somewhere at the front here. So that's where I think I'm going with the chassis, and I am working on lights. I have actually started to mess around with the cab. I picked up one of these little things. It's got a Tamiya logo on it. That's definitely not a Tamiya part. It's a little bit okay. Lights flashing things when you put servo signals on. So I've drilled out where the headlights were, where the fog lights would be, and I've actually put in some LEDs. So just stick some power on this little thing, and we can see what happens. You can have a quick look at this thing. This basically links in between the servo, and it has a range of lights. One set of lights is, well, if you connect up all 3 channels, one set of lights is on when your drive servo, so channel 2, is centralized, and they go off when you either accelerate or brake. One set of lights comes on as you go to brake mode. One set of lights goes on to instead of the brake mode into headlight mode, and indicates when you turn left or right. They flash. So at the minute I've got this plugged up. So that's what I intend to do is the one set of lights. I'm going to put a dual set of tail lights on it, kind of like side lights we have here in the UK. So you have some dimmer lights. I'll put some resistors in to dim the outer pair, I think, and the same with the tail lights. And then when you start to drive, the other lights will come on at the front, and when you go to brake or reverse, the other tail lights will come on. So this set of lights is on all the time when you're just stationary. At the moment, that's just the way it's set up. And then if I turn it the other way, those other sets come on. And now the indicators are coming on because I'm going to sort of into the drive side. So these have come off. The outside ones have turned off, you see, just there, because that's just the little control box, what it does. I'm going to wire it differently, and then you have the indicators are coming on, and when you go to the other side, the other indicators are coming on, and the brake lights there as well. There are some blue lights on it. So that's a blue light, that one. What I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to put that up into the top section there, and that's on channel 3, because if you remember, for the hitch and unhitch, I'm going to use one of these little mini servos, micro servos, not whichever they are. I'm not still learning sizes and things about this RC stuff. So yeah, that light will come on to indicate the trailer is unhitched, so the fifth wheel is disconnected, and then you press the button again and the hitch will raise, so it sort of locks the hitch again, and the light will go off. So you could unhitch and then go along. I have got some crazy ideas in my head about sticking another receiver in the trailer with another one of these boxes, so we can actually get some running lights and the brake lights on it as well. But also, it'd be really cool, I think, if I can work out a way of actually having retractable legs, so the legs go up and down, because the original ones, they kind of just skimmed across the surface of the ground. So I'll focus on this for now and not get too far ahead of myself. Like I say, I'm just waiting for the motor to arrive. I think I will be going for it in that configuration. So it's driving the front wheels here. These will be the floating wheels at the back. Motor's going to be facing that way. Speedo mounted here. Receiver here. Light unit's going to go up inside the cab somewhere. There's lots of space there for getting stuff in, so that's not a problem really. Just wait for materials. See how it goes. If you're liking what I'm doing, thanks very much. A bit of a long one, 20 minutes tonight. And I'll catch you soon, folks. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button. That'd be really cool. Cheers.